Take that stupid look off your face. I will slap it off.
Wrestlers take immense pride in their craft as they dedicate their entire life to wrestling in WWE. This means that if a match isn't going to plan or they've had a falling out with WWE management, they find it hard to hide their emotions in the ring. These emotional outbursts can take many forms, and it has happened numerous times throughout WWE history. But when were those moments? Well, join us now as Wrestlelamia looks at 10 times WWE wrestlers couldn't hide their anger in the ring. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos, and follow us on Facebook for exclusive lists. Number 1. The Undertaker at Super SHOWDOwn.
This dejected look on my face, and there was, because I was upset.
Now, The Undertaker is a wrestler who takes immense pride in his work. He was very much a locker room leader and someone who the younger talent looked towards to set the standard of what a main event performance should be. Now, we've all seen, thanks to the WWE Network show The Last Ride, just how much The Undertaker values the perception of the younger talent and the fans, and he always wants to deliver the absolute best performance. Thus, when WWE announced that The Undertaker would take on Goldberg at the Super SHOWDOwn event in 2019, fans were a little concerned, as Goldberg wasn't really known for having the greatest matches, and The Undertaker, by the time 2019 came around, he needed someone to help him through a match, and Goldberg certainly wasn't that wrestler. The match itself was an absolute disaster and is classed by many as one of the worst matches in the history of the company. Things started off bad early on in the match, as Goldberg went headfirst into the ring post, which resulted in a concussion. Goldberg then proceeded to drop The Undertaker right on his head following a jackhammer attempt in a move that could have seriously injured the wrestling legend. The Undertaker then hit Goldberg with a tombstone, which spiked Goldberg on his head, before Goldberg attempted his own version of the tombstone. However, he couldn't get Taker into position and they both awkwardly fell. Taker then proceeded to call an audible and finish the match off with a chokeslam. Now, even though it was hot outside and Goldberg had legitimately suffered a concussion during the match, Taker looked incredibly disgusted and upset following it, as he let out a massive sigh, and as we know from the Last Ride documentary, he felt ashamed of the performance.
It's just like, wow, that was really close to being catastrophic.
Number 2. Gail Kim eliminates herself. Long before the Women's Revolution, the women of WWE had to scratch and claw for every minute of television time. However, one woman who decided that this treatment wasn't good enough was Gail Kim. On the 1st August 2011 edition of Raw, Kim took part in a battle royal. However, as the match began, she would eliminate herself.
It was Melina who was eliminated, and I believe another elimination as well, Gail Kim, I think.
She did this to prove a point and to see if anybody backstage actually noticed. Following the incident, Kim left the arena and would never return to WWE ever again, opting to rejoin Impact Wrestling instead. The match was also notable for being the last WWE match for Melina, who hugged Kim as she made her way to the backstage area as a clear endorsement of her actions. Number 3. The Rock at the 2015 Royal Rumble.
Take that stupid look off your face. I will slap it off.
Now, the 2015 Rumble match is well established for being one of the worst Rumble matches of all time. It featured some of the worst booking decisions in WWE history, and as a result, the crowd absolutely hated the majority of the match. And one of the main issues the match had was WWE presenting Roman Reigns as a massive underdog, when in reality, hardly any fans wanted him to win. This meant that he was heavily booed, and anyone associated him was also going to be booed, even if your name is The Rock. When WWE legend The Rock made an appearance during the closing moments of the match, even the beloved figure such as himself was booed, and the fans wanted no part in his association with Reigns. The Rock was clearly annoyed by the booking and the fans' reaction, as he looked legitimately furious in the ring, not to mention somewhat puzzled. And if you thought that puzzling face was acting, it was, as The Rock actually knew that Roman Reigns would be booed by the crowd. You can even tell The Rock as not being The Rock in this post-match interview.
In the moment. Tonight. Right, exactly. Man, you're getting fired.
In fact, he was so upset that he would leave the arena immediately after the match without saying a word to Vince McMahon. Number 4. Randy Orton. WWE began to push Kofi Kingston to the moon. He would defeat Randy Orton clean and would begin a main event push that was actually going to lead him to winning the Money in the Bank contract at WrestleMania 26. Unfortunately, this all changed thanks to one infamous segment on Raw. In a match between Orton, Kofi and John Cena, the finish was supposed to be Orton RKOing Kofi for the win. However, as soon as Orton hit the RKO on Kofi, he began to shout,
Kingston, jaw and face planted!
It would later be revealed that Kofi botched the finish of the match, which naturally angered the Viper, and he decided to take his frustrations out verbally in the ring. The two would actually even have a callback to this moment during Kofi's reign as WWE Champion.
We know the only time almost counts is in...
Number 5. Eddie Guerrero at SummerSlam 2005. The feud between Eddie Guerrero and Rey Mysterio in 2005 was one of the most infamous feuds in history. The two would feud over the custody of Rey's own son Dominic in a bizarre yet entertaining feud that produced some of the best matches of the entire Ruthless Aggression era.
And he finally gets to come home to Papi.
Now, the payoff to the feud would be a custody of Dominic ladder match at 2005 SummerSlam pay-per-view. Now, the planned finish was to involve Vickie Guerrero, who portrayed a conflicted neutral role in the feud, turning on Eddie and pushing him off the ladder so Rey could win. However, during the closing moments of the match, Vickie would miss her cue, meaning Eddie and Rey had to improvise. This left Eddie furious as he screamed,
And look at Eddie! Frustrated! Frustrated!
Number 6. Kurt Angle.
So much for the UFC.
On the November 4th, 2004 episode of Raw, WWE booked the Tough Enough finalist to have a shoot fight with Kurt Angle. Angle would take down Tough Enough finalist Daniel Puder down, but Puder would get Angle into a Chimera armbar and was seconds away from breaking Angle's arm. The referee quickly realized this and counted Puder's shoulders to the mat for the 1-2-3 to save Angle the embarrassment of tapping out on television. Angle popped right up and got into Puder's face as he was absolutely furious that this occurred, despite the segment being unscripted. Angle's frustrations continued backstage as he demanded to know why WWE would book a segment that could have completely shattered his credibility. Puder would comment on the incident during an interview with Chris Van Vliet in 2020, stating, "Here's the thing, people have grudges. It's a reflection of inside. At the end of the day, I don't hate anybody. Did I make an opportunity for what was given? Sure. Did I follow the rules? Yeah. Did they say no striking? Yeah. You can listen to the refs interview Jimmy Corderas. You can listen to Al Snow's interview. If anybody's real enough and authentic, then they're going to tell you what really happened." Number 7. Stephanie McMahon. One of the highlights of WWE programming in 2013 was the feud between the Rhodes family and the Authority. The feud would reach its climax at the 2013 Battleground pay-per-view in a thrilling match as Goldust and Cody Rhodes would face The Shield. To build to that match, WWE would book a segment between Dusty Rhodes, Cody, and Goldust having a promo exchange with Triple H and Stephanie McMahon. However, it became one of the most infamous promo segments of the year. Now, Dusty was old school, meaning a scripted promo is something he simply isn't gonna do. This meant that when Stephanie tried her typical act of belittling the babyfaces during a promo, Dusty wasn't having any of it and put his hands up straight in Stephanie's face.
Cross the line, old man. Don't cross the line, old man. Let me tell you something.
This actually made Stephanie furious, who slapped his hand away, and this was not planned. The tension didn't end there as the issues continued backstage as Vince McMahon was also furious that Dusty would act in this manner. Dave Meltzer had this to say in relation to the incident. "If you think something is different about Dusty Rhodes on Raw compared to everyone else, it's because when he's out there, the script is gone. But he did cut off Stephanie instead of letting Stephanie do the making the face look like a wimp thing she does with most talent. On 30th September, the facepalm on Stephanie when she started talking like he was blowing her off, which if you watch it looked like Stephanie had no idea was coming. That was actually the case, and she was not happy about it. Number 8. Ricochet. The start of 2020 looked extremely promising for Ricochet as he would be booked to face Brock Lesnar at the Super Showdown pay-per-view, but unfortunately that's where the problems began. The match would be a complete squash, and following the loss, WWE would seemingly lose faith in Ricochet as he began to lose matches on a weekly basis. On the 2nd March 2020 edition of Raw, Ricochet would lose clean to Riddick Moss, and Ricochet looked visibly angry following the match. As he exited the ring, fans noticed how defeated and upset he really looked. He would even throw his wrist tape down on the ground and he would head to the locker room without even looking or acknowledging the live crowd. Number 9. HBK. As Shawn Michaels wasn't used to working with extremely stiff talent. Therefore, when the WWE booked him to face Vader at 96's SummerSlam, the two simply didn't mesh well in the ring. HBK would get frustrated with Vader in the ring, most notably when Vader failed to move for a top rope elbow attempt, with HBK screaming at Vader and kicking him straight in the head. The frustrations and anger from him wouldn't end there, as he would also use his backstage influence to cancel Vader's push, and Vader would fall further and further down the card and would never be positioned as a top guy in WWE ever again. And number 10, HBK again. As Shawn Michaels was notable in the 90s for being very difficult to deal with, and it wasn't just the wrestlers who felt the wrath of HBK in the ring. During the legendary match between HBK and Bret Hart at WrestleMania 12, HBK would take issue with the position of the cameraman in the match. During a spot in the match, HBK would jump down from the apron and would actually curse at the cameraman for being in the wrong position.
Whoa, get the fuck out of the way.
He looked absolutely furious with them and even made eye contact with him numerous times throughout the match to check on his positioning. It's safe to say that HBK has something against cameramen in general. I mean, just remember this moment from WrestleMania 11. The poor guy was just taking pics of the match. But there you have it, guys. 10 times wrestlers couldn't hide their anger in the ring. There's probably a few more, so would you like to see a part 2 on this? Let us know in the comments down below. Subscribe if you haven't already. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook for exclusive lists. And I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.